Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday. Hey, baby, how you doing on this hump day?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Fabulous, fabulous. Got a special guest coming up later in the program. Going to talk with Dr. Rachel Pearson, and she's got a book called No Apparent Distress. I'm trying to read my handwriting. It's a book that she has written. She's a doctor, and it's actually about our healthcare system. And she's saying no apparent distress means that there's nothing wrong. But she's saying that a lot of the time when you say there's nothing wrong, there's really a lot of stuff wrong. So I'm excited to visit with her to find out a little more about that.
Alrighty.
And I'm going to have to make sure I can read all of my notes before I talk to her. I've got a quote for you today, Heidi. You ready for this?
I am ready.
The true test of character is not how much we know how to do, but how we behave when we don't know what to do. I like that. John Holt is the one that said that. Coming up, got a lot of special things going on this Wednesday. We'll tell you all about that in a bit. Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. It's Wednesday, May the 24th. It's Aviation Maintenance Technician Day. Never really thought about that, but the people who keep the airplanes flying, they deserve a day.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. Why not? It is Emergency Medical Services for Children Day. There you go. The people who keep the kids flying. I mean, not flying. I mean, feeling better. Yeah, you know what I mean. They feel good. I think that's a good thing, too. It's also EMSC Day, which stands for Emergency Medical Services Day. International Tiara Day. Are you wearing your tiara?
Not today.
Do you have a tiara?
I do not.
Have you ever worn a tiara?
But my dentist said I need a crown. Couldn't agree more.
I actually have a photo of me on Facebook wearing a tiara. We had a guest in the studio one day who came in with a sash and a tiara, and I said, Can I wear a tiara? I want to get a picture of that. It's also Morse Code Day today. So for those of you who know Morse Code, beep, 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 beep. They're laughing. Just kidding. I have no clue what I just said in Morse Code. Probably nothing. Only thing I know in Morse Code is SOS. ... dash, 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 ... Mm-hmm. We should all know that. You know, in case...
Why? Nobody would understand what we were trying to say.
If we all knew, then we'd all understand. On this Wednesday, the 24th day of May. I love watching TV shows and movies, but I hated seeing my monthly bill get higher and higher. All that money every month just to watch TV. Well, not anymore. We cut our cable. We were paying $185 a month for channels we didn't even watch. Now we pay for just the internet, and we save about $150 a month. And we still get to watch what we want, when we want, with no monthly fee. Learn how you can do this too at channelsurfertv.com. Watch the video there to learn how to watch movies and TV with no monthly fee. Do it today and save 50% at channelsurfertv.com. You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. I think I actually read this story a while back, but it's such a cool story that when I came across this again, I thought, I'm going to read it again because it is a pretty cool story. 51 years later, a California man decided to finally come clean by handing in a wallet he found 51 years ago with a little apology for taking so long to do this. 79-year-old Robert Kubins found ex-policeman John Payne's wallet 51 years ago.
It was the cops even.
Yeah. Luckily, Payne's grandson, who shares the same name, still works at the same San Francisco police station. How cool is that? That's where his grandfather used to work. Mr. Kubins wanted to put his wrong to a right. He enclosed a check for $100 and a little note to say, I'm sorry that it took me so long to do the right thing, but I found this 51 years ago.
Wow.
Just finally got around to dropping it off. He's been busy, Heidi.
Yeah, I'm sure.
A lot of things going on. But it's not like he stole the wallet. He just found it. But 51 years later, I bet that's cool for the grandson to get his grandpa's wallet and say, I wonder what's in here, rooting around in there.
Yeah.
Look at this list of girlfriends. All of a sudden, the guy's in lots of trouble. No, I think that's really
cool. I wonder if he kept the money in there, if the money was gone.
I don't know if there was any, but he put a check for $100 in there, so he got $100 out of the deal, in addition to the wallet from Grandpa. So I just think it's a cool story. Like I said, I think I might have read that a while back, but when I was scrolling through looking for stuff to talk about, I thought that was a fun thing to talk about, because I think that's important. If you find something, do everything you possibly can to find the rightful owner. If you've ever lost something, you know what I'm talking about. And if you've never lost something, just imagine losing something. Yeah. And imagine what a pain it is to know that I have no clue where that is. It's out there somewhere, but I don't know where went to somewhere. Anyway, this one happened 51 years later. And you know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
Each day at this time, we talk about people doing dumb things under the influence, but addiction is no laughing matter. If you or someone you know needs help, there's a toll-free number you can call.
1-800-438-0380.
That's the Addiction Hope and Helpline.
1-800-438-0380.
And this is your brain on drugs. Florida man was putting up a fence at a carnival when he came across the tiger's cage and thought, hey, let's chat with the tiger for a while.
Chat with the tiger.
He decided to communicate by putting his arm into the cage and, trying to pet him.
Idea.
Yeah, that didn't work so good. He got bit several times, severing a tendon in his arm. And what will likely be no surprise, police say he was extremely intoxicated at the time. Yeah, he was drunk as a skunk when he was bitten by a tiger. Yeah, it's a shocker.
That can't be.
Some dude reaching into a tiger's cage say, hey, I want to pet the kitty cat. Yeah, you don't want to pet that kitty cat.
Oh, goodness.
Anyway, sad to hear that he's in pretty serious condition, severing a tendon. That's not good. I wonder if workman's comp is going to cover that. Probably not. If you're drunk, that hopefully doesn't cover that kind of stuff, does it?
Well,
how does that work?
It shouldn't.
Then again, he works at a carnival. Isn't that a prerequisite to be drunk? Just kidding. My brother worked at a carnival. I got a dear friend that owns a carnival, so I'm just being silly. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh. An expedition to the North Pole is what we're going to talk about today. This just makes me... I can't even read the story without smiling. 2 Australian explorers decided to conquer the challenge of hiking to the North Pole. They would get there and place their country's flag to commemorate and prove their accomplishment. They took off to the North Pole unaided for 58 days, almost 2 months to get there, Heidi. During the expedition, one of them almost lost his life when he fell through some thin ice. They faced blizzards, developed frostbite, even had to ward off a polar bear. Finally, they get to the North Pole to discover... They forgot to bring a flag.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, that is so funny. All the way from Australia to the North Pole, and they're like, okay, let's put the flag. I thought you had the flag. I don't have the flag. I thought you had the flag. Oh, you can't make this stuff up. That's just awesome. All right, this has been your moment of duh. We have your scoop of the day on the way.
John and Heidi.
Would you like custom t-shirts for an event or sports team? We understand that usually the budget's not unlimited. We have full-color custom printed t-shirts for just $7 each. That's one of the best prices you'll find anywhere. No minimum orders, so you can print just one or print 1,000. The price is just $7 per shirt with a minimal setup fee per design. Make the memories of your next event last forever or help your team look amazing with a little help from CustomShirtInc.com. That's CustomShirtInc.com.
Now your scoop of the day, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com. Movies and TV with no monthly fee. A Duke University study found that some people subconsciously avoid doing things that they are nagged to do as a form of passive rebellion. Do you think I do that kind of thing?
Oh, yeah.
I know I do. You're like, hey, you going to get that done? So I go, yeah, I'm working on it. And you ask me again half hour later, I'm working on it. Well, now you know, according to Duke University, quit asking.
I don't think it's I think you just cannot focus. I don't think you have the ability to concentrate.
What were you saying? I wasn't really paying
We're
attention.
getting you on meds, just so you know that is happening.
A dude from Austin, Texas, Matt Hallfill, loves his sneakers, so much so that he has about 500 pairs of sneakers. He says his obsession started when he worked as a teenager in a shoe store, so that's kind of cool. A hiker from Flagstaff, Arizona, loves pizza, so much so he almost got hypothermia getting some free pizza. A search and rescue team had to come to the aid of a 30-year-old hiker wearing nothing but shorts and a tank top when he got stuck in heavy snow on Mount Eden during a quest for free pizza. Let me explain.
Pizza.
The hiker was racing to the mountain peak to win free pizza from a local pizzeria, was unaware that there were heavy snow conditions on the way. That's why he's wearing a tank top and shorts. Called for help around 9 a.m. He was shivering. It says probably mild stages of hypothermia is what he was going through. That's not good. New York mom says she was at an IHOP and a waitress pulled a steak knife on her during an argument.
Whoa!
That escalated quickly. Mormon Church is severing ties with the Boy Scouts. They said they're going to start up their own version and they're going to have their own Boy Scouts. So the Mormon Church no longer in cahoots for whatever reason. I wonder what happened there. Something had to happen.
Yeah, I know what happened. We won't talk about it on the radio.
Okay. A rare Harry Potter. This is really confusing to me. A rare Harry Potter prequel written by author J.K. Rowling on a postcard, we'll come back to that, has been stolen during a robbery in England. Police say they are appealing for help from fans of wizards all across the world. My question is, how could she fit an entire prequel on a postcard?
Who knows?
Or was it just like a sketch of the prequel?
I have no idea.
I don't know how that works. That's the part I'm confused about. Pop-Tarts. You know, let me try that again. Pop-Tarts. A lot of folks like those for breakfast. They've enjoyed them. Well, now it says there's a whole new, 3 newly announced flavors hitting the stores. Jolly Rancher flavored Pop-Tarts. Green apple, cherry, and watermelon. Do you think you would try those?
No, but we talked about this.
Did we really? Mm-hmm. When did we talk about that?
Just a couple of days ago.
Are you serious?
I am absolutely serious because I said, well, I like the ones without frosting.
That's right. I remember that now. See, how do I forget these things?
You need medicine.
No, I don't. I need some Pop-Tarts. All right. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday.
John and Heidi.
80s in the Sand will be happening this November in Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic.
And that'll be here before you know it.
Join us and have a blast with 80s in the Sand.
An all-inclusive vacation with some of the greatest bands of the 80s.
Plus, you can meet some 80s icons from the movies and television as well.
Get all the details at 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to get a $200 immediate refund per person.
That website is 80sinthesand.com.
Book your week-long 80s vacation now at 80sinthesand.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We have a special guest joining us right now, Dr. Rachel Pearson, and she is the author of a new book called No Apparent Distress, a doctor's coming of age on the front lines of American medicine. Dr. Pearson, how are you today?
I'm doing really well. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Well, thank you for being on the program. Now, when did you start working on this book? Has this been something that's been in the works for a while?
It sure is. So I read it over the years that I was in medical school, and it's really based on experiences I had there working in a large free clinic in South Texas. I've been working with a lot of working class Texans who didn't have access to insurance.
NAD, or no apparent distress. I see that says it's a medical chart term that means that the patients are going to be okay. Is that right?
That's right. When you look at a patient, if they're not actively bleeding or struggling to breathe, you would say they're in no apparent distress. And I chose that title as a sort of metaphor for how we look at the healthcare system in this country. So we have great facilities, we have brilliant people working in the system, we have amazing technology, but if you look underneath the surface, there's a lot of unmet health need, and there's a lot of suffering that goes on that we're not able to address.
So the system itself has no apparent distress, but that doesn't mean there's no problems.
Exactly.
So as you were writing this book and working in the healthcare system, were there some specific areas that you thought, boy, this is a glaring problem, but a lot of people don't know about it?
Yeah, so, starting medical school, I sort of assumed that there was a safety net in this country that would catch people if they had a really bad medical problem and needed to see a doctor. And the thing that was most surprising to me was that I saw, unfortunately, that you can be really, really sick. You can have cancer. You can have conditions that could be treated by a physician, conditions that are life-threatening, and still not be able to access care.
And why is that? Is it just is it out of reach, or what is the problem? Why is it that you can't access the care?
Yeah, so at the time that I was starting medical school in 2009, we were beginning to develop the Affordable Health Care Act, and we had a lot of hope that charity care was going to become obsolete, right? That we would have a system of public insurance that would cover more working class people, and that free clinics like the free clinic I worked at in Texas would no longer be needed. After the Supreme Court ruled that Medicaid expansion was not going to be mandatory and allowed states to opt out of Medicaid expansion, the states that opted out saw persistent low rates of insurance coverage. And so in Texas, for example, you have to make less than 1/3 of the federal poverty level and have dependent children in order to qualify for Medicaid. So less than one-third of the federal poverty level is around $3,500 a year. And I don't know if you've ever tried to live off $3,500 a year and have children, but it's a really low bar. And so what we found, because Texas, like 17 other states, did not expand Medicaid, lots and lots and lots of people fell into that gap between where Medicaid would cover you and where you could afford employer-sponsored or private insurance. And so people would, come to the free clinic and we would do everything we could for them, but we could not do surgery, we could not offer chemotherapy, we could not do imaging studies, and our patients were folks who just couldn't pay for that kind of thing out of pocket, like most Americans, because paying out of pocket for those things is really expensive.
Yeah.
So we unfortunately had some folks who we diagnosed with cancer who we weren't able to get into hospitals and who died of diseases we knew were treatable.
Again, the book is called No Apparent Distress, A Doctor's Coming of Age on the Front Lines of American Medicine. Kind of some sad stories you're telling me there, but is the book sad overall, or is it kind of a glimpse into the world, or what do we find inside this book?
There are some hard stories in there that are hard to tell, and I think challenging to read, but there are also stories of incredible hope and resilience. And so I learned so much from being able to take care of my patients about how people survive and thrive even in really rough situations. There are also a lot of stories about my family. I'm from a very small town in Texas. It has about 3,000 people, and my dad is a carpenter, so we were a working-class family who at times was in pretty similar situations to the situations of my patients. And so I tell stories about my dad and his work and my mom and my grandma, and I think those stories are very human, and there's some funny parts.
So some uplifting parts in the book, too.
There definitely are. I promise it's not just a huge bummer.
Very nice. Again, the book is available right now. It's called No Apparent Distress, A Doctor's Coming of Age on the Front Lines of American Medicine. Our guest today has been Dr. Rachel Pearson. And are you practicing as a physician right now, Dr. Pearson?
I am. So I'm a resident, and I'm practicing in pediatrics.
Very cool. Well, I wish you the very best moving forward. And now, what would you like this book to do? Would you like this to get the attention of somebody that could maybe change the system, or what would you say was the long-term goal of the book?
Yeah. So it absolutely is. I absolutely do hope it will get the attention of folks who have, the political power to get the system changed. I think my hope is that, in hearing these stories and getting to know the people that, getting to know through the stories of people that I was so lucky to get to know as a medical student, that people will connect with those stories and that they will consider those stories when they're making political decisions about who should and shouldn't get healthcare in this country. I think it should be everybody. And
that's a decision that should be between my doctor and myself, and not necessarily between my doctor and my politicians and myself.
Exactly. And, docs, we just really want to help people out.
Yeah.
And it's really frustrating for us when we know what our patient needs and we're not able to get it for them.
I wish you the best. I hope the book does really well, and I hope it gets to the right hands so somebody reads it and can actually make some changes in the system.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I sure appreciate your having me on and helping bring attention to these issues.
Absolutely. Again, Dr. Rachel Pearson, and she's the author of No Apparent Distress, A Doctor's Coming of Age on the Front Lines of American Medicine. It's available right now wherever books are sold. Thank you so much for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Would you like custom t-shirts for an event or sports team? We understand that usually the budget's not unlimited. We have full-color custom printed t-shirts for just $7 each. That's one of the best prices you'll find anywhere. No minimum orders, so you can print just one or print 1,000. The price is just $7 per shirt with a minimal setup fee per design. Make the memories of your next event last forever, or help your team look amazing with a little help from CustomShirtInc.com. That's CustomShirtInc.com.
John and Heidi.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Mary Hart and Tina Turner both had something done that nobody else has done. You know what that is?
No.
They had their legs insured for $1 million per leg. Mary Hart and Tina Turner. So they're walking around on $2 million worth of legs. Well, $4 million between the two of them. I don't think I'll be doing that. My legs ain't worth $2 million.
I don't even know who's Mary Hart.
She was on Entertainment Tonight for years.
Did she have?
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, was she known for her legs? Yeah. I didn't know anything about.
They changed the desk at one point, and there were like 2 million letters. People saying, "Hey, what'd you do with the? Now you can't see her legs." So there are people freaking out about it. So yeah, it's a big deal apparently. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The Egyptian pyramids were originally covered in marble. The marble was weathered away. So there you go. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The largest cattle farm in America is in Hawaii. What? How'd they get the cows out there? Oh, they're from there? Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Puerto Rico, if you wiggle your nose at somebody there, that means the same thing as saying, hey, what's going on? That'd be kind of tough.
Really?
Just say, hey, what's going on? That'd be a lot easier. And our final fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The comic strip Peanuts, when they launched in 1958, Snoopy stood on 2 legs. It wasn't until later that they said, okay, he's a dog. Put him down on all 4s.
I never really liked Snoopy.
You weren't a big fan of the Peanuts.
No.
We can't talk to you anymore.
I'm sorry.
Coming up, we're going to talk about job hunting after graduation. That's on the way.
John and Heidi.
Have you thought of starting a home-based business but didn't like the idea of calling family and friends? This top-quality fitness and health products company lets you take advantage of their advertising power to reach people who wish to add a few hundred or a few $1,000s a week to their income by following a simple system. Plus, everyone who joins the team after you benefits you as well. To learn more about how you can leverage your time to help others get healthy and create wealth from home, call Scott Smith at 866-741-7242. That's 866-741-7242.
A lot of folks going to be walking across the stage and grabbing their diploma. Some have already done that this year, and there's others on the way. For people who are graduating from high school or college and going to be entering the workforce, got a little public service for you here, Heidi.
Okay.
Job opening ads where you're going to have to do a little translating. So you'll know what this stuff means. If you're going to start looking for your first job and you see entry-level position, you know what that really means?
What does that mean?
You're going to be making minimum wage. That's what that means. Entry-level position in an up-and-coming company, you know what that means?
Means they can't pay you much at all.
You're going to be making minimum wage for a long time, and you might not have a job in a year. Up-and-coming software company. You know what that means?
What does that mean?
No chance we're going to be the next Microsoft. None. Competitive salary. What does that mean?
I don't know.
We remain competitive by paying less than everybody else. How about join our fast-paced company? What do you think that means?
I don't know.
It means we have no time to train you, so introduce yourself to other people. Immediate opening. What does that mean?
It means it's a horrible place to work, and the last guy just quit on him.
Well, it says here, it means the person who had this job gave notice a month ago. We're just now finally running an ad. Sales position requiring motivated self-starter. What do you think that means?
I don't know.
It says we can't supply you with leads. There's no base salary to speak of, and you'll have to wait 30 days for your first commission check. Yeah, I could see that. Again, reading between the lines on ads that you're maybe looking for if you just graduated. Casual work atmosphere. Going to translate that. What do you suppose that means?
I don't know.
It means we don't pay enough to expect that you're going to actually dress up. Competitive environment. That means a lot of intra-office backstabbing. So you're going to compete with everybody. And our final one on here must be deadline oriented. What do you think that means?
I don't know.
You're going to be about 6 months behind on your second day. That's pretty much what that means. I've been down those roads. You know what? A lot of those. I think I've kind of lived several of those. Don't you feel the same way?
Oh, yes.
All right. Coming up, we're going to talk about an interesting coroner, a dude that's got kind of a side business that he's working on that I just don't know if this goes with being a coroner, but that is on the way on the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
I love watching TV shows and movies, but I hated seeing my monthly bill get higher and higher. All that money every month just to watch TV. Well, not anymore. We cut our cable. We were paying $185 a month for channels we didn't even watch. Now we pay for just the internet, and we save about $150 a month. And we still get to watch what we want, when we want, with no monthly fee. Learn how you can do this too at channelsurfertv.com. Watch the video there to learn how to watch movies and TV with no monthly fee. Do it today and save 50% at channelsurfertv.com. I've never really been one that said I want to be a coroner. And I'm glad that there are people who want to do that because
somebody has to do it.
If there
It's a
wasn't
very
somebody that wanted
important
to do that, that'd be bad.
Right.
But if you're going to be a coroner, maybe only be a coroner. I don't know what else you could be that would make sense, but California has a coroner's office that just opened a gift shop selling T-shirts and baseball caps. That doesn't seem right. No. Coroner Paul Smith says in his Sacramento office he's trying to generate publicity and funding for an anti-drinking program for teenagers. Mr. Smith says the shop was not trying to gain publicity, and the gifts would be tasteful. He's saying, I'm trying to get publicity for this anti-drinking, but he's a coroner, so is he putting pictures of dead people on there?
No,
if you
I
drink,
don't
this
think
is
so.
going to happen to you?
But I think he's probably seeing so many teens coming in from alcohol-related accidents.
That's true.
That he's wanting to warn the
help.
kids. Yeah, I think that's
Well,
a very noble thing.
Very
I think
nice.
that's great.
Okay, but I just thought that sounded kind of weird. And when I first said it, you raised your eyebrows and looked at me really funny,
Well,
too.
I was thinking a gift shop, like just random stuff. But then when you said why he had this little gift shop.
There you go, I guess. Coming up, we're going to talk about a different T-shirt printer that I think we're all going to have some discussion on, at least. Thanks for listening. It's on the way.
John and Heidi.
I got a link to this story on our Facebook page, and I would love it if you would chime in with your comments on here. But a Kentucky court has ruled that the government cannot force a T-shirt printer, Blaine Adamson, to create gay pride T-shirts in violation of his religious beliefs. The court sided with the rights of the artists to choose what messages they would promote without fear of government punishment. Adamson is the owner of Hands On Originals, a small print shop in Lexington, Kentucky. He only creates messages that align with his views. He has also declined to create T-shirts promoting strip clubs, violence, and sexually explicit videos. So I think, honestly, whether you agree with what he believes in or not, you have to be able to agree with, if he doesn't want your business, you should take it somewhere else.
I agree with that completely. So why did it apply this way towards this gentleman, but those bakers who,
I remember
as
that.
far as I'm concerned, are also artists because they create beautiful cakes. Why were they forced to create something for something
but
they didn't
I'm
believe
glad
in?
that it seems that this is kind of back to the way it should be.
That's exactly right.
Because here's the thing, I'm telling you right now, if you don't agree with me and you don't want to do business with me because you don't agree with me, I wouldn't want anybody forcing you to have to do business with me. I just don't think that makes sense.
And you shouldn't be forced to have to do business with anybody else.
So
It goes
I
the
would
same
love
ways.
it if you would chime in at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. I don't care about the content, whether you agree with what she agrees with or he agrees with, but I'm just wondering about this particular case. Again, let me know if you agree with the ruling, not so much about the content, the ruling. Facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
It's almost graduation time. If you have a son or daughter finishing high school, you need to hear this. They can go to college without racking up a pile of student loans. Matthew Einstone did. He saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then he built a system to show you how to do it too. Learn how you can use this system for your kids or for yourself. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. Use promo code RADIO20 to save 20% at freeeducationuniversity.com. That's freeeducationuniversity.com.
John and Heidi.
Have you ever looked at a $1 bill?
Yeah.
I mean, that's about all I ever carry these days. Got any money on you? Got about $1. That's about it. On the $1 bill, if you take a look, first of all, you're going to be looking at something that first came off the presses in 1957. So think about that.
Okay.
It's been around for a long, long time now. And that also is the first year that In God We Trust found its way onto paper money. In the center of the bill, you're going to find a chevron with 13 stars representing the 13 original colonies. We'll come back to that here in a bit. Underneath, there's a key. That's like a symbol of authority. Go to the back of the bill. That's where it gets interesting. There's a couple of circles. They come together. They comprise the Great Seal of the United States. If you look at the left-hand circle, there's a pyramid, and it's uncapped, signifying that we're not even close to being finished. Inside the capstone, there's an all-seeing eye, and this is something that, even though the exact design wasn't from Benjamin Franklin, the idea for the eye came from Benjamin Franklin, and it was that one man couldn't do it alone, but a group of men with the help of God could do anything. Now, there's Latin on our $1 bill. Above the pyramid, Antius Coeptis means God has favored our undertaking. The Latin below the pyramid, Novus Ordo Seclorum. The government's translation of this is a new order for the ages. At the base of the pyramid, there's Roman numerals. You know what the number is? 1776. Of course, that's when we decided to declare our independence. There's a whole bunch of other stuff on there, including a shield that is unsupported. And they say this country can now stand on its own. In there's an eagle's beak, and you'll read E pluribus unum, meaning one nation from many people. The shield has all kinds of stuff on it too, red and white stripes and a blue bar and all of those things. But this is the thing that I think is really cool, is the eagle has in his talons several olive branches, 13 actually, and 13 arrows. And everybody talks about how unlucky the number 13 is. Well, if you look at your dollar bill, you're going to see a ton of things on there that have 13s. And there's also 13 original colonies, and that's why we have the 13 olive branches. It's representing that. 13 stripes on the flag, 13 steps on the pyramid, 13 letters in the Latin above, 13 letters in E pluribus unum, 13 stars above the eagle, 13 plumes of feathers on each span of the eagle's wings, 13 bars on the shield, 13 leaves on the olive branches, 13 fruits as well, and 13 arrows. So all of those 13s, if you are superstitious and you don't like the unlucky 13, don't carry dollar bills. So
I would say 13 has been a pretty lucky number for our country.
yeah, I think it has as well. And that's Heidi's lucky number.
It is.
And lucky for all of you, we've got some good news on the way next.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always try to wrap things up around here with good news, and I think we've got some darn good news here. I'm not a big sports fan, so I can't tell you much about this person, but Chicago Blackhawks star Patrick Kane made a soldier's day by trading airline seats with him. This is really neat. Kane was sitting in first class. The soldier was in coach. American Airlines flight attendant Terry Truss told CBS Chicago that Kane came up to her and said, "Hey, there's a soldier on this flight." And she said, "Yeah, okay." And he said, "Hey, I'd like to have him come up and sit in my seat.
That's fantastic.
Give him my first class seat, and I'll go back and sit there." And he just wanted to make sure, can we do that? And they allowed that. I've got a link to the story if you'd like to read it. Facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. And it's really neat. I was, the other day, we were at a game. We don't go to a lot of sporting events, but my brother-in-law invited us to a game. It was really fun.
It was a lot of
It's
fun.
really neat. And we went with Charlie. So Tuesdays with Charlie, he was there. And his wife, my mother-in-law, and my sister-in-law's parents, and we had a whole slew of us that went.
Yeah.
Something that was neat, during halftime at this game, they had a tribute to veterans. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was fascinating because thousands of people all stood on their feet and clapped and supported. And
That was awesome.
There was a group of people right in front of us that didn't stand up. And I was like,
Yeah, the whole row. One lady in their row.
And I was like, do you say something? Do you not say something? I was like,
I wanted to say something.
But they were just oblivious to the fact. They were not even.
They knew.
But I just thought it
They
was
knew
really
what was going on. They just did not want to stand.
And everybody else, the entire auditorium was standing to their feet, clapping and supporting this, and these guys were just kind of sitting there like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, these people fought for your freedom too. I mean, each and every one of these people, they fought for your freedom. And to stand up and appreciate that, I think is a good thing. And I understand, you have the right to sit, but they're the ones that fought to give you that right. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're the ones that fought for you to have the freedoms to do a lot of the things we take for granted. So anyway, troops, hats off to you. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. If you'd like to read this story, by the way, it's at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.